Well, hello there, YouTube. It's Petey, and today we're going to be quickly introducing you to the white strat guitar, Whitey Bulger. So I just finished rebuilding this Squire. I bought it on an auction, and it was a black Chinese Squire that was manufactured in the year Y2K. It's a heavier Squire. And when I received it, we immediately tore the guitar apart, sanded it down. I did a rattle can spray paint job, and you can see it's a little rough. I could have took time to sand it and more detail with the finish, but it's pre-loved. Now, the tremolo plate is original. The knobs are original. The jack plate is original, but like the jack, the pots, the switch, the saddles, the tremolo block, the pickups, pretty much everything has been replaced on the guitar. Alnico 5 pickups. This is a Elvis Presley and Jimi Hendrix used this same strap. 1967 at Woodstock for Hendrix, and then 68 on Elvis's television comeback special. And I'm not sure if I like the way the strap blends with this guitar. I did use a leather dye. It's an alcohol-based leather dye that was orange. So I sanded the neck down, dyed the neck orange, to give it an amber aged appearance. I use these older style, I'm not sure what these are called, but they're not the modern style string trees, and also vintage style tuners. It is a tusk nut. I'm not trying to fool anyone or resell this guitar or assign value where value should not be. You can see where I used toothpicks and filled the old holes. But what I am trying to do here is, and this is a really cheap neck plate. I'm trying to simulate like a vintage, like an old Strat. You know, I'm not trying to fool anyone or sell it or make money, like that way. It's just taking a Squire and doing like a reissue with it. So look at that. It had a skunk stripe on the neck, which not all the Squires will have that. Found this to be a really heavy Strat. Now, the problem I ran into, I bought a 36 millimeter Music Illy brand brass tremolo block. And I bought one of these before and put it in a Squire, and it was a drop-in replacement. This one, I needed to remove a significant amount of wood back in here. Like, that much wood had to come out from the back end of the guitar all the way to the front, but not all the way through. So I did that by drilling a row of real small holes and then switching the drill bit to like not a 1/4 inch, but almost, and then chiseling the rest out of there. So it was a real caveman or old world craftsmanship type of an operation. Really like the way the neck came out. I'm just not sure. I mean, the strap, it does blend with the shade of amber on the neck, but I don't know if I like the strap. It's really about aesthetic of, like you can see here, I really tried to match the shade of all the plastic on the guitar, and I also went with black fasteners in here. There's black fasteners back here, and the little, I forget what they're called them, grub screws. Now, these grub screws stick out and they will dig into your palm if you rest your palm here, and I do. So what I was doing, I was removing the 10 millimeter. The ones on the side, they give you 9 millimeter, and the ones in the middle are 10s, because the fingerboard here has a radius. It's not flat, it's curved. So you simulate that in the way that the strings are set up by adjusting the grub screws so you have the strings match that radius. What I did is these 4 screws on the inside and outside strings, these sit down low enough where they don't really dig into your hand much, but the other ones, I ended up taking my grinder and I would remove the grub screw and stick it on an Allen wrench, and then I used Dum Dum, which is almost like, you could think of it like chewing gum. I would wrap that Dum Dum around in between the Allen head, the shaft of the Allen key, and the threads of the grub screw, just to hold it on there, because I'm taking it to a grinder and I'm grinding off a full millimeter or 1.1 mil in some cases, and then cleaning up around the sides of the thread and carefully, the first one, the grub screw got really hot, which melted the Dum Dum to the threads. So I had to use a chemical and a toothbrush and try to break that stuff down. I was like reverse threading them through another set of real crappy saddles that I had. I ordered 3 sets of saddles for this. I said I'm not sure if I'm going to go with these vintage ones. The ones that I really like are the modern style solid brass saddles. That's what I have on my other Squire. This is the second time I've done this. I have another yellow Stratocaster that you'll see me playing, and that is the same idea. It's a guitar that we bought for $50, 56, shipped, and I completely ripped it apart, sanded it down, repainted it. It as well was a black Strat with a white pickguard, and then I actually painted the headstock of that guitar to match the body, and I absolutely love that yellow Strat. I really do. I don't know if I'm going to fall in love with this guitar like I did with the yellow one, but I would have no problem selling this, especially considering it looks like a 63. It really does. Is it a 63? Well, hell no. I own a 1992 American Standard Stratocaster, and it's a fine instrument. These are, I wouldn't even say they're comparable, but they're way better playing and way better sounding than the Squire. Like when you buy this thing, they're not bad. The finish on them is way better than the finish I'm able to do, but they have a bunch of really cheap parts. So replacing the pickups with Alnico 5s, getting the oversized 27 millimeter potentiometers, using stuff like cloth covered wire, it's going a little bit out of your way. I did a modification where I used Sprague orange drop capacitors. I was gifted some circuit boards that were just covered with orange drops. So I removed those and I have a surplus of them now. I use a 0.047 microfarad capacitor for the neck potentiometer, the neck pickup on this tone 1 potentiometer. The middle pickup and the bridge pickup are assigned to tone 2. And those are a 0.012. So it's a 0.012 and a 0.047, which means this pickup has 3 times more capacitance, or the ability to reduce the treble on it. These, you can reduce the treble, but it's much less. It's in a higher frequency range because you want to have these pickups be bright. Sometimes they might be shrill, so you could tame that with this knob. And sometimes you want to do what's called a woman tone. That's something Eric Clapton did. Robert Fripp did it too. And it's using it with a distortion or a fuzz box. If you roll down your tone, go to the neck pickup, you can get this. Almost sounds like a clarinet. It's like a loo, like that kind of thing, rather than having an attack from the pick. Anyway, what I will do, I use a piece of leather, like a work glove that's cut off, and I will use that leather to protect these threads on this bar. I will put this bar in a vise, and then I will press down and bend it. Because I like right now, if this is coming up and it's sticking at an angle, I like to have it where it just clears over the volume knob. And you can see this red here, that's a piece of heat shrink tubing. Takes up the slack in the threads. A lot of guys will use plumber's tape. You can use whatever you like. I find that the plumber's tape is good, but I really prefer the heat shrink tubing. Although I replace it often. The second modification is if you tap this tone switch, it pops out a 1/4 inch, or it's actually like about a centimeter. And what that does, it bypasses the volume and tone control when you're in the number 1 position. Number 1 position is when the switch is in the bottom, and that means that you're on this pickup. Number 2 is this pickup and this pickup combined. Number 3 is in the middle, that's the middle pickup. The 4 position is like here, and that's these 2 pickups. And the 5 position is just the neck pickup. I really play in 4 and 1. 4 has this quacky, spanky strat thing that, oh, it's just amazing. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to go with these vintage saddles. Like I said, I reduced the length on the grub screws so that they're not protruding. You can cut your hand on them. It's not comfortable. You can see these are Geiacker maybe brand. I'm not sure, but they're nice saddles. I just really like the modern saddles. The thing about it is I'm trying to create the illusion that this is a vintage guitar, and I didn't have the heart to ruin that facade by installing vintage or modern saddles, and I get that they wouldn't really be gold or brass on a real vintage guitar, but I love the way it looks having the gold in there, the brass, just on the saddles. And I like the black hardware here, like having this instead of chrome. This is magical to me. That's it. That's the fun of going through this process of being able to customize everything to what I think in my head would look good, and then when I finish it, I can sit back and go, maybe that doesn't work as good as I thought it would, or maybe, yeah, I really knocked that out of the park. Now, I'm not sure about this strap, so we're going to pop over. I was looking at this. This was another one. I don't know what I was thinking about that. That's really ugly. I think it might kind of look cool. I don't know, just something that would more harken to the mint green on the pick guard. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you have any recommendations on a type of strap? Like, oh, hey, there's the one that I bought for it. Or was it? Yeah, that's the Hendrix slash Elvis strap. Oh, that's not bad. I just don't know. And obviously, when you get into spending a little bit more money, like I'm looking at the cheapest stuff. You can get leather and or comfort straps. They have these neoprene high tech. Number one, buckethead stretchy. There's the Fender stretch comfort strap that is a tweed pattern. That's really sexy, and I have that on my. I already have that on my yellow strat. So, what do you think? Can you guys recommend? What do you think about a white strat with a mint pick guard? What strap, and more specifically, an embroidered style strap? That's what I really want for this guitar. So see what you come up with. You could drop a link to that in the description if you'd like. I like this one with the women on it. The women's faces, I really like that. Gee, I spent a mind-numbing amount of time looking at straps for this guitar. I really did. The one that I was really considering, I'm looking at it, looking back at it today, I was like, what are you thinking? You know, I don't see how that matches at all. Because I think I would want something that harkens more. Like, I don't know, I really like that. I really like that. So I gotta see. And then there's always an option of so that's like yellow and turquoise and powder blue and brownish red. Powder blue and brownish red versus the yellow. I don't know. You know, like I think that would work. So is that a reefer leaf? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So is that 6, 7? Is that 7 leaves? It sure does seem like a weed leaf, doesn't it?
It's like a moth or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I almost think that. I don't like the tan there. I don't like that tan end. So it is what it is. What do you guys think of the white strat? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me on this one. Like I said, I do have to put strings on it and go through the setup process. I'll tell you, it is a heavy guitar. I love the neck. The neck is wonderful. On some of these Squires, they will have a real flat neck with like, it's not rounded on the edges. This is not like that. There's no fret sprout. It's a beautiful neck. It's not to say it's as good as the one on my American Standard because it isn't even in the same league. But as far as Squires go and Strats, this is a really good one. It's just, it's heavier than my yellow Strat. And again, what I was going for with this is to, like, I'm not going to put a humbucker in it. I'm not going to put a hot rail in it. It's supposed to be a vintage. So it's got to stick to a strict set of parameters, you know. And that's more than likely why I'm going to keep the strap what it is. Because I'll get used to it, and I might be overthinking it, worrying so much about the strap. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think about the white Strat. You'll see more of this guitar. I was just so excited when I got finished. It looks like I never thought I would have a guitar that looks this good. And that's not to say because I did such a magical job. It's just the combination of the colors with the off-white. It's not a real gloss white. The mint pickguard, the aged plastics, the brass vintage saddles, the right amount of chrome on the guitar, like going with a white tusk nut, blacking out the cutout for the truss rod adjustment, using the vintage string trees of the vintage saddles, and then even choosing a silver or a gray Fender logo to offset the orange neck. Like everything, I wouldn't change anything about it. And once it came down to reducing the length of the grub screws, I think I've got it sussed. I think I'm going to be able to use the vintage saddles, and it's not going to be an issue of like discomfort like I had thought. Because there's guys out there that swear by vintage saddles. There's other people that hate them, and the people that hate them is because of the comfort. But I'm not so sure about that. I'm reading there's guys claiming that the vintage saddles, they just, as far as performance, how they sound and the sustain, and that's the most important thing. And I'll tell you what, when I finished putting this thing together, the bridge with the brass block and the brass saddles, it weighed a lot. This guitar is heavy, which not ideal for me considering I have a back injury, but I also sit on a stool. And hey, maybe I can start bringing two guitars out and switch off between the yellow and the white. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much. Let me know what you think about the white Strat. Super stoked about this one. I'll talk to you soon. Hug your pets, and peace.